Severe storms crisscross the Front Range, forcing schools to shelter in place and DIA to delay flights.
A Colorado woman reflects on life under Taliban rule.
I never want to see another Afghan girls spending their childhood age as I was.
Plus, Douglas County commissioners and parents push back against a school mask mandate.
The governor and all them trying to control our children without our permission is dead wrong.
And the Airbnb of swimming pools runs afoul of the city of Denver.
You cannot rent out your pool separately as its own commercial business.
Good evening, and thank you for watching Denver 7. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. This day had everything but snow, but I will point out there is still time yet.
Yeah, we had hail, we had pouring rain, there were ominous clouds, and yes, flights were delayed out of DIA.
And we had Stacey Donaldson tracking it all. Stacey, plenty of excitement earlier, so how are we looking now?
We're looking a little better now, but we still are under a severe thunderstorm watch here for the Denver Metro, so we're not quite out of the woods. That's in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. And a tornado watch has been issued for extreme northeastern Colorado. We've had a couple of tornado warnings out there as well, and a flash flood watch for the western portion of our state where heavy rain continues to fall. Now, it is very quiet here across the Denver area now as compared to just a couple of hours ago where we had multiple tornado warnings to the north and to the south, but we also still have very heavy rain from Fort Morgan out toward Woodrow and into Akron. No severe thunderstorm warnings at this point. We have a flash flood warning right around Holyoke where we had a tornado warning earlier. So very heavy rainfall and hail moving through northeastern Colorado right now. It's pretty quiet in Denver, but we're keeping an eye on the storms just off to our west from Evergreen up toward Georgetown. Some of those are headed our direction, and that heavy rain out west, still the potential for flooding with a flash flood watch and aerial flood advisories as well. So especially in the burn scar areas, we're keeping an eye out. But coming up, we'll talk more about what we expect tonight and tomorrow and whether or not we'll see a little snow coming up.
All right, thank you, Stacey. More than 24 hours later, I-70 is still closed through Glenwood Canyon. A very lonely road right there. CDOT says it hasn't heard of any mudslides, but there's been too much rain and the canyon is just too unstable to reopen yet. The locals aren't complaining. They say there are worse places to get stuck than Glenwood Springs and pleasures to be found in the long way around.
It enhances their vacation time because they could stop in Leadville if they get there at 5 o'clock. They can stop at Quincy's and have a steak, or they can do a little hike and coming over Independence Pass, you know, things like that. Or they can walk around Aspen and go to a restaurant or whatever they want to do. It's a lot to do around here, just a lot.
Yeah.
There's mountains of things to do here.
And we recommend doing everything mentioned above. We also suggest downloading our Denver7 app to help you get around Glenwood Canyon.
So a few days ago, Newsmax host Steve Cortez tweeted a photo of this packed flight from Afghanistan with a mocking caption, "Raise your hand if you want this plane landing in your town." Well, he got a lot of raised hands. He also got some other hand gestures. Denver7 Sloan Dickey joins us live tonight from the state capitol here in Denver, where a rally supporting the people of Afghanistan is just getting underway. Sloan?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. It's supposed to kick off just at 6 o'clock, and today is actually supposed to be a day of celebration for the Afghan people. It's actually the Independence Day for Afghanistan. Obviously, today striking quite a different tone. Several people have arrived here. We've spoken with them. They have family members, aunts, uncles, and cousins here in Afghanistan. They're waiting here to hear back from them. This protest is meant to be for solidarity, to bring people here, refugees here, to consolidate the community around one voice, to give support to the people who are trying to flee from Afghanistan. We heard from one woman who said she is still waiting to hear back, and this rally will be bringing support to her family as well.
We want to come together as one community. Definitely, I feel like Afghanistan is on the forefront of a humanitarian crisis, and what we're demanding is expedited processes for resettlement of refugees and as well as humanitarian aid for them.
Now, there's meant to be a protest here tonight and also a march around the city just to consolidate that voice for support for Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the people I spoke with said that voice is going to be needed far into the future. Reporting live in downtown Denver, Sloan Dickey, Denver7.
Thank you, Sloan. And Coloradans who once called Afghanistan home can only watch with horror at the situation that's unfolding. Denver7's Brian Wang sat down with a Commerce City woman who left years ago and now fears for those who did not.
To be honest, for the past 1 week, as I mentioned to you, I couldn't focus on my own life.
Instead, Mina Saber's attention has been on her past life, the one as a little girl under Taliban rule decades ago.
Boys like my brother was allowed to go to school. Girls were not allowed to go to school.
Receiving a basic education happened under the radar. Covert tutoring sessions were not out of the ordinary, and women were prohibited from leaving home without a male escort.
They cannot go out or they cannot go to anyone's house without the guy. I couldn't play in playgrounds. I couldn't go out.
On some days, that was a good thing.
I heard the gunfire when I was a child.
Along with the cries for more. That's why she fears for the next generation, once again under Taliban control.
And I don't want any young boy or any young girls to hear that. So it's... I'm sorry.
Saber still has family in Kabul. Her aunts and uncles touched base with her a few days ago.
We are scared for their safety. We're scared that they're going to be, we don't know what's going to happen when in 1 month, who will be alive in 1 month and who will be not.
While their fate is uncertain, Saber and a local group of Afghan Americans are working with citizens there to relocate to Colorado.
I never want to see another Afghan girls spending their childhood age as I was.
But if this is the same Taliban regime Afghanistan endured pre 9/11, basic human rights may be the greatest loss. Bayan Wang, Denver 7.
Denver police have arrested 4 people and identified a 5th in a deadly crime spree from Tuesday night.
Officers say Isaiah Freeman, Seth LaRode, Aiden Sides, and Noah Lopal stole cars, ransacked a business, and shot 2 people over the course of 2 hours. One of the people in the hospital in critical condition tonight, and the other, 18-year-old Shmuel Silverberg, was killed.
What happened on Tuesday night is as violent as it gets. These people, these individuals, this group of 5 needs to be in custody for us to keep this city safe.
The suspects range in age from 18 to 21. An arrest warrant has been issued now for that 5th.
Another lawsuit has been filed against the city of Denver over the police department's response to the George Floyd protests. Trevor Hughes says his finger was broken by a less than lethal round while he was photographing last year's demonstrations. The lawsuit claims police were aiming at his camera. Now, Hughes is also suing the city of Aurora, which was one of a dozen agencies to provide Denver police with backup. Neither agency is commenting.
A 16-year-old boy has been arrested for stabbing a homeless man to death under a Fort Collins bridge. Todd Stout's body was discovered in early July. Police say there is no evidence he knew his killer. The teen's name has not been released. Stout was 58 years old.
Colorado Senator John Hickenlooper says he is doing well after testing positive for the virus. Hickenlooper credits the vaccine with limiting his symptoms. And breakthrough cases aside, it is the unvaccinated driving Colorado's constantly rising hospitalization rate. 691 people are in the hospital right now, down 2 from yesterday. And Colorado has not seen this many beds occupied by people suspected or confirmed to have the virus since early May.
Douglas County commissioners downplayed the virus this afternoon before opting out of a school mask mandate. And parents at today's meetings were sympathetic to the cause and openly hostile toward the local health department.
And what they want is control. They don't want safety. We can all see through that. Even they see through it. They don't want the children to be healthy. We can see through that as well. What they want instead is to control other human beings.
The Douglas County School District has the option of overruling commissioners. However, they have not responded to our multiple requests for comment.
A few months ago, we told you about a way to make a lot of money by renting out your pool.
Turns out you could also lose some money if you try doing it here in Denver. Gary Broad explains.
A dip in the pool could dip into the pockets of some homeowners.
You can't rent it out through an app or rent it out to other people as a commercial activity.
It's a concept similar to Airbnb. The only difference is you're renting out your pool, not your home. Problem is, you're not allowed.
If you have a pool as part of your Airbnb, you can definitely let whoever rents your Airbnb use your pool, but you cannot rent out your pool separately as its own commercial business.
Swimply is leading the way in the pool rental market. For around $50, you can rent a pool by the hour. A spokesperson spokesman for Swimply tells us they advise their hosts to do their due diligence on any local statutes or ordinances.
We had over 500 bookings last year.
In April, this retired teacher told us he made $50,000 renting out his pool during the pandemic.
We've had photographers here shooting underwater shots. We actually had a music video shot here.
He's in Arapahoe County, where it's also not allowed. Laura Swartz with the city of Denver says it's not allowed for a couple of reasons.
A commercial pool rental is going to be a much higher level of impact. So zoning codes look at those much more carefully. And so you've got things like noise, you've got things like parking impacts. You also have a number of health and safety regulations.
There's 14 pools right now on Swimply's site in the Denver metro, only 2, though, within city limits, a number that could be growing.
Why is this issue coming up now?
We do have more interest from residents over the summers for renting out their pools. And we also receive more neighbor complaints.
Swartz doesn't know the exact number of complaints. The first complaint, however, is just a slap on the wrist.
The city inspector would go out and educate that homeowner on what city laws allow.
But after that, they'll fine you $150, and that price tag goes up with more visits. Swartz said last summer they had to tell someone to shut down because of multiple visits.
To my knowledge, we haven't had to do that yet this summer.
Swimply tells Denver7 there are a few times when regulations do not have specific language relating to new business models, and they think that may be what's happening here. They say their pools are no more public pools than Airbnb homes with pools. In Denver, I'm Gary Brode, Denver7.
Coming up, companies consider paying unvaccinated workers less.
We're talking about $20, $25 per paycheck is sort of the numbers that I've heard.
It's a Denver7 weather action day for a severe thunderstorm watch, gusty winds, and possible hail for the Front Range and the high country. Just how long these storms will last. Next at 6, watch Denver7.